Are you worried or unsure about what tyre pressure you should be running on your bike? Just got into the sport and maybe looking for a quick way to improve? Well, here it is. Right, understanding the grip your bike has with the terrain and how tyre pressure affects that will give you the confidence to make informed changes to your tyre pressure. This is a breakdown of what your tyres are doing for you and the important things to think about so you can understand the feedback they give you. Plus, and this is a big plus, I'm going to direct you to finding that all-important baseline pressure so you can start enjoying good grip, adjusting that tyre pressure to make solid improvements when the terrain or weather changes. First off, let's think about the basics of what the tyre is doing and how it works. The contact point is how we describe the ever-changing shape that each tyre creates at the contact point with the ground. Simple enough to imagine, and it helps us understand what is going on. Freeze your riding at any moment, and wherever the tyres are touching the ground, it's creating a stamp-like image of what's happening beneath you. Let's think about that shape and how it helps us understand the basics of tyre pressure and what that means and what the tyre is doing underneath the bike. Okay, to illustrate, I have done this incredible drawing that I'm very proud of. And as you can see here, we're looking up through the ground as the tyre as it rolls down the trail. And here, if you've got a hard tyre, what you can see is the contact point is really small. The tyre's standing up proud because it's got a lot of air there supporting it. And you've just got this tiny point touching the ground. That's the moving stamp that's going down the trail of a hard tyre. Now, the soft tyre, it's really easy to understand. It's squashing out, there's less air supporting it, and the contact point has grown dramatically. This equals much more grip when you're cornering and when you're braking. So, this contact point is a really important thing to consider when we're talking about tyre pressure. Okay, let's get a wheel. Let's take a look at what is happening with our tyre pressure. A hard pressure on the ground, if we look at this point here, the tyre profile isn't going to change hardly at all because there's so much air there, but the contact point's very small, and as we lower the pressure, the tyre squishes out and suddenly that contact point's huge. Loads more tyre on the ground, that means more grip. But let's put that bike in a corner and think about the forces that are going through that tyre and what's going to happen. We've got a really low pressure and we're going through the corner, we're banked over. The tyre's going to squish down, but it's also, the rim's going to push to the outside of the tyre like this. Now, as you can see, with a low pressure, the pinch on the inside of the tyre just here starts to become really acute and it starts to roll. So that's what we don't want. And that's what we've got to avoid with a really low tyre pressure. So, the lower the pressure, the more likely the tyre will roll, puncture, or if you're using a tubeless tyre, you could lose air through it burping out, through the bead as it comes under more strain. So all that information starts pushing our tyre pressure choice back up, and as we do, we start experiencing less rolling resistance and seemingly faster pace until you go beyond that sweet spot and reach the contact point that is too small, and suddenly you don't have any grip for braking or carving through a turn. Next question, then how do we find the sweet spot of tyre pressure? The Goldilocks effect of not too much and not too little. First off, you need a general pressure to work from, and I can give you that. I'm going to say 25 psi, and I wish that was the final answer too, if only it was that easy. However, this suggestion is just the starting point that we can work from and make adjustments from, so either up or down to create your personal go-to tyre pressure. So this general pressure is just your starting point. The changes you will make will really depend on the combination of riding style, tyre compound and tread pattern, plus riding terrain and the weather on the day you're riding. Many variables, and that last point about weather really makes you realise how important it is to get confident with adjusting your tyre pressure to suit your day's riding. To start experimenting, choose a piece of trail that's easy to do multiple runs on and start riding that trail with 25 psi in both the front and the rear. If possible, it's best to do this on a relatively standard weather day for your local riding spot. After a few runs, let some air out of the front, bringing it down to 23 psi. Then do a few more runs. You will instantly feel the difference. The grip will be higher because that contact point has grown. Ask yourself if you like the difference. If you do, then maybe try even less pressure, perhaps venturing down to 22 psi and doing some more runs. The process of elimination is going to find that sweet spot for you. Now with the rear, you do the same, starting by going down to about 24 psi and do a few more runs. The difference in braking performance will be noticeable, and you might notice a bit of bob in that pedal stroke as well, as the tyre's now more flex. So experiment with the pressures up and down to find the right pressure for you. It will be the setup that feels good, gives you confidence and consistency over multiple runs on your little test track. In the end, you'll likely end up with a lower pressure in the front than the rear. As a guide, unless you're riding very slippery conditions, then you probably won't go below 20 psi in the front. And unless you're a sort of heavier rider, you won't be above 30 psi in the rear. Play with it and find your general pressure, the go-to one. Only time and experience will teach you more about why and when to alter it, but enjoy doing it because the benefits are amazing, and this is a big part of becoming a really good bike rider. Now, if you have some experience and knowledge on this subject, then make sure you tell us your general pressures in the comment section down below. You won't believe how much confidence you'll be giving a new rider by sharing those numbers. Over here on GMBN, Doddy, for instance, is running 24 in the front, 28 in the rear as his kind of go-to numbers. Personally, I'd say 22 front, 24 rear. That would work for me. Although Doddy is likely 20 kilograms heavier than I am. So right away, you can see how one simple factor like body weight creates an individual's personalized general pressures. Have fun finding yours. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope it's helped. Stay with us now on GMBN by hitting that subscribe button, and you could click here to see how to set up your bike for an enduro if you're feeling brave. Other than that, give us a thumbs up, like, and we will see you next time.